Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What we will never do, we will not be alive and allow anybody play politics with the collective interest, collective destiny, and collective future of Ndigbo under whatever pretense and guise. You know, I'm addressing this matter again for the second time. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, said that Ndigbo should emphasize and focus on the pursuit of occupying Aso Rock. That rather we should channel all our energies into creating an economic heaven, you know, groveling and begging the federal government of Nigeria to include us in the National Gas Master Plan, include us in the National Rail Infrastructure Master Plan, and that is it, and allow us to, you know, include us in dredging the River Niger into Onitsha. That is what Soludo wants us to do as Ndigbo in Nigeria. And of course, we are not, you know, we are not children. We know why he's doing all these things. Of all the governors in the South, he's the only one that has been very consistent in attacking his brother, vilifying him. One of the very few governors who really governed creditably and delivered good governance to his people. Interestingly, other governors in the Southeast, especially my governor Hope Uzodinma and Alex Oti, who are even deeply entrenched in APC, who were former APC members, who even have the ears of Mr. President better than him, are focused on using their relationship in the center to bring development to Ali Igbo without vilifying Ndigbo. We know what he's trying to do. We are not babies. All he's trying to do is play into the. He thinks that by playing this kind of silly politics, that he would deceive those in Abuja, so that by 2031 he will now present himself as vice presidential candidate. He thinks he's the only cock that can crew in Ali Igbo. He wants to be the first Igbo man to be president. Therefore, Ndigbo should not clamor for president. We should just focus on dredging, focus on getting the federal government support us to dredge, include us in rail master plan. Charles Soludo was the former deputy governor of Central Bank. Charles Soludo was the former special advisor to Obasanjo. For the 8 years he was in power under PDP, it never occurred to him to plead with the government of the day to include Ndigbo in the rail infrastructure master plan. Chukwuma Soludo was one of those who totally and participated in eviscerating Jonathan and his own sister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. He was writing their pistols, turning numbers on their head just to deceive the gullible and paint Buhari as a saint and vilify and destroy Okonjo-Iweala and Jonathan. Buhari became president. Chukwuma was a poster boy, professor of economics. Chukwuma was part of the economic team, advisory team of Buhari. For 8 years, Buhari was using the funds, our collective fund, to do rail project. He did 156 kilometers from Lagos to Ibadan. He even did into Maradi in Niger Republic. Another Igbo man, Rotimi Amechi, was minister for 8 years for transport. It never occurred to Chukwuma, who is now trying to hoodwink us, to plead with Buhari, him and Amechi, to plead with Buhari, just give us small rail line between Port Harcourt and Aba, or from Port Harcourt to Onitsha, which is his own in his own state. From Onitsha to Port Harcourt is less than 200 kilometers. From Port Harcourt to Aba is less than 45 kilometers. It never occurred to Chukwuma Soludo, who is a very good friend of Buhari, who was part of those that brought Buhari in, and Amechi, to plead with Buhari to include them in the master plan of rail infrastructure development. It's today that Chukwuma is waking up. You know the interesting thing? These guys thinks, it's so funny. The same Chukwuma is telling us, oh, Ndigbo, they need to dredge, ask them to include in the gas master plan. Now, let me tell you what will shock you. In the First Republic, the first gas-powered industrial estate in Nigeria was done in the First Republic by Dr. Michael Ihonu Kanokpara. Transamadi Industrial Estate. Even Aba. As far back as 1963, Michael Okpara developed industrial estates. Michael Okpara did MNA. Michael Okpara did Transamadi. Transamadi and Aba had industrial parks powered by gas. As far back as 1963, the federal government of Nigeria, the government of the Western region, could not do it in Lagos. Lagos only got access to industrial gas in year 2000, years after. Michael Okpara was not in MPC He was not part of the ruling federal government. But Michael Okpara was such a very focused, cerebral, excellent, Igbo-centric man who developed his paradigms and did great things, built the fastest growing economy in the whole of Commonwealth. He never waited for the federal government. But Chukwuma wants us to go cap in hand. Let me remind Chukwuma, Anambra has 30 trillion standard cubic feet of gas, worth over $224 billion. Anambra has over 114 oil and gas capped wells. If Chukwuma does not know what to do, or his team do not understand how they can, through the instrumentality of the VPP, look at what Hope is doing in Imo State. Hope is not a professor. If Chukwuma does not know how he can tap into the private sector groups to develop gas processing plants, gas to fertilizer plants in Anambra State, just like what Hope is doing the Orashi Energy City, doing the 385 watts power plant, he should consult us to help him. If Chukwuma does not know that to dredge the River Niger from the Escravos to Onitsha will cost only $500 million, dredging it to a width of 200 meters with shoreline embankment to a depth of 6.5 meters, that will enable 10,000 to 15,000 deadweight tonner cargo container vessels that can carry up to 1,040 feet containers all the way from the Escravos into Onitsha and do a river port, just like Hope is doing a river port in Orashi. Chukwuma should help us to let him know that he does not need to wait for the federal government of Nigeria to do this. After all, 60% of the containers that come to Nigeria finds their way to Onitsha and Aba, and it will be very, very lucrative. Chukwuma does not need to wait for the federal government to do it. I need to remind Chukwuma, as between 1979 to 1983, Desam Mbakwe and Jim Nwobodo, as governors of the Odiwa Anambra, developed industrial estates. If Chukwuma does not know, and I want to remind Chukwuma that the biggest dredging company in the whole of West Africa is owned by an Anambra man, Nnemeka Obiejesi. If he does not know how to do it, Obiejesi can teach him. The biggest two companies that do gas pipelines in Nigeria are owned by Indigo. Oyesa Bemeko Kwasa for Anambra and the NS Obiejesi Azujalo from Anambra. Professor Soludo can consult them to show him how he can do what Hope is doing by dredging the Orashi to do Orashi port. You know, all these silly politics they play, they think they are deceiving Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu is smart though. He knows there's no way, even if for any reason, 2031, they want to pick an Igbo man as vice president. Alex Oti is there, Hope Uzodinma is there, and they are doing far better than him. And the whole world is watching. The truth is, Igbo, we are not, what we want is a very, very equitable society where justice and faithfulness reigns. Igbo are not desperate to be president. Igbo wants Nigeria to go back to the constitutional framework we had in 1960 to 1966. So that we will have autonomous regions. Let each people produce and control their natural resources. Nobody, if we go back to 1960 constitutional framework, nobody will be clamoring to become president of Nigeria. And that is the truth. Michael Okpara was not a part of the central government when he did what he did. Desam Mbakwe and Jim Nwobodo were not part of MPN when they did what they did. We don't need to be at the center. And we don't need to kowtow and grovel before anybody to do rail infrastructure that will infringe the whole of the southeast and link us to Lagos and to Port Harcourt. It's a $5.2 billion project that we can do under PPP and easily raise the fund as Indigo if we have focused governors who are doing what they're supposed to do. Thank God for Alex Oti. Thank God for Hope. You will never see Alex or Oti or Hope vilifying or insulting any of their predecessors or any of the top Igbo former governors. It's only Professor Chukwuma Soludo. May God have mercy on us.